I'm ready to transform my daily habits into a greener, more eco friendly lifestyle using simple, effective smartphone apps. I believe sustainability starts with awareness, and the right apps can guide me to make smarter, planet friendly choices every day. I imagine tracking my carbon footprint effortlessly while discovering easy ways to reduce waste through engaging mobile tools. I use an app that monitors my energy consumption and suggests ways to lower electricity and water usage instantly. I use apps to plan meals and minimize unnecessary leftovers so I can help reduce food waste. I let apps highlight sustainable brands and products so my shopping aligns with my environmental values. I rely on apps to guide me to greener transportation options like public transit or carpooling. Some apps encourage me toward plant based meals by showing recipes and nutrition tips that reduce my carbon footprint. I track my recycling habits with apps that provide local guidelines and reminders for proper disposal. I use gamified sustainability apps that reward my eco friendly actions and keep me motivated. I use apps that calculate my travel emissions and suggest offsets or alternative routes. I use apps to find sustainable wardrobe choices and nearby secondhand clothing opportunities. I follow gardening apps that teach me how to grow herbs, vegetables, and flowers sustainably in small spaces. Water conservation apps alert me to my usage patterns and offer tips to reduce unnecessary consumption in my routines. I use apps that integrate with my smart home to automate energy efficient lighting and heating. I use apps that provide alternatives to plastic and track my progress toward a low waste lifestyle. Many apps connect me with local volunteer opportunities and environmental campaigns, so I can make a real world impact. I use food sharing apps to connect surplus groceries with neighbors and reduce waste. I use ethical investing apps to align my finances with environmentally responsible companies and funds. I use mindful consumption apps to track my purchases and encourage conscious buying over impulsive choices. I check apps that provide real-time air quality updates so I can plan outdoor activities with health and the environment in mind. I use travel apps that promote ecotourism and suggest destinations and accommodations that support conservation and local communities. I use wardrobe tracking apps that reduce fast fashion by reminding me to reuse and recycle clothing creatively. My digital planner includes sustainability tips that turn my schedule into an environmentally conscious roadmap. I participate in app challenges that let me compete with friends to live greener each week. I use meal prep apps that encourage bulk cooking and proper storage to reduce packaging waste. Eco-friendly finance apps calculate my spending's environmental impact and promote awareness in my purchases and habits. I use mental wellness apps that teach mindfulness to help reduce overconsumption and stress-driven habits. Certain apps suggest environmentally safe cleaning products that reduce chemical exposure and support sustainable manufacturing. Transportation apps calculate the carbon emissions of my rides and offer incentives to choose bikes, scooters, or walking. I use apps that guide me to local farmers markets, supporting small businesses and minimizing food miles. I use sustainability news apps to stay informed about eco-friendly innovations and policies worldwide. I use water tracking apps that gamify hydration and encourage minimal waste in packaging and consumption. I use barcode scanning apps to instantly assess product sustainability and make responsible decisions. Gardening and composting apps give me reminders and tutorials to turn organic waste into nutrient-rich soil. I join eco-challenge apps that create community groups and promote collective sustainable habits. Energy-saving apps analyze my appliances and offer personalized tips to lower utility bills and my carbon footprint. Apps that highlight vegan or vegetarian recipes help me transition gradually and lower the environmental impact of my food choices. Many apps visualize my impact, showing tangible reductions in emissions or waste as I adopt sustainable habits. Your phone can literally help you save the planet. And I'm not talking about some complicated thing. There are apps that track your carbon footprint in real time. They show you exactly how much energy your home is using and even suggest which route to take that cuts your emissions. Some apps gamify it, like you earn points for recycling or biking instead of driving. Others connect you to local cleanups and eco events happening near you. Honestly, it makes being sustainable feel way less overwhelming. Like you're just living your life, but making a real impact without even thinking about it. Search eco-tracker apps and just see what happens. Your phone knows how sustainable your groceries are. There are apps that scan barcodes and instantly show you environmental ratings before you buy. Some track your home energy use and suggest simple ways to cut down on electricity. Others help you find secondhand shops nearby so you can shop more sustainably without even thinking about it. There's even apps that calculate the carbon footprint of your meals in real time. These tools make sustainable living feel, honestly, pretty effortless. Download one today and see how small changes actually add up. Most sustainability apps actually make it harder to stay eco-friendly. But there's this one daily eco-tip app I use that gives me one tiny action every morning. No guilt trips, no overwhelming data, just like, hey, swap plastic wrap for beeswax today. And there's this commuting app that shows me the actual carbon difference between driving and biking. It's not preachy, it just shows the numbers and lets me decide. The Zero Waste tutorial app, though, that one taught me how to make reusable tote bags from old t-shirts in like 10 minutes. Find the apps that make sustainability simple, not stressful. Link in bio. I get personalized sustainability reports that show my environmental impact, track my progress, and help me make better lifestyle choices. I use low-carbon commuting platforms that suggest greener routes, electric vehicle options, and public transit choices in real time. I rely on mindful consumption apps to track my purchases and suggest lower-impact alternatives to encourage conscious spending. I follow apps that teach sustainable DIY projects so I can repair, upcycle, and creatively reuse items instead of tossing them. I use apps that highlight eco-friendly meal kits and local seasonal ingredients to cut packaging and support sustainable farming. I check ethical shopping platforms that rate brands, suggest alternatives, and track my buying patterns to keep my choices responsible. I use plant-based diet apps that give meal plans, grocery lists, and nutrition tips to make sustainable eating easier. I monitor my home's energy with apps that analyze usage, send alerts, and recommend ways to cut electricity, heating, and cooling. I use apps that connect me to local volunteer events, cleanups, and sustainability workshops to get involved in my community. I explore sustainable fashion platforms that promote clothing swaps, secondhand shopping, and mindful wardrobe planning. I try gamified eco apps that reward recycling, composting, and low-energy habits to keep me motivated. I use apps that track my plastic use, offer alternatives, and show my environmental savings to support low-waste habits. I rely on eco-transport platforms that combine bike routes, walking paths, and transit schedules to shrink my carbon footprint. I take sustainability challenges through apps that help me reduce consumption, use reusables, and track progress with friends. I follow digital composting guides that give step-by-step instructions to turn organic waste into nutrient-rich soil. I use appliance apps that recommend energy-efficient devices, track usage, and send alerts to optimize my electricity use. I discover local green businesses with platforms that point me to shops, restaurants, and services that share sustainable values. I follow low-waste cooking apps for recipes, batch prep tips, and storage methods to minimize food waste. I track my household water use with apps that give actionable tips to conserve water, cut bills, and shrink my impact. I use plant-forward platforms for recipes, grocery planning, and nutrition tracking to support sustainable eating choices. I play gamified sustainability apps that reward energy savings, recycling, and green transport with points and friendly competition. I use mindful shopping tools that show eco ratings, alternatives, and spending insights to guide responsible purchases. I explore renewable energy platforms that teach me about solar, wind, and other clean technologies and how to implement them. I join neighbor food sharing apps to reduce waste, strengthen community ties, and access surplus groceries. I use apps that curate ethical products, sustainable brands, and eco-friendly services to simplify my daily choices. I use low-waste family platforms that offer education, checklists, and challenges to build sustainable habits at home. I book sustainable travel through apps that recommend eco-friendly stays, transport, and activities so I can explore responsibly. I track my personal carbon footprint with apps that visualize reductions over time to keep me motivated. I get reminders to use reusables, save energy, and conserve water so sustainability becomes part of my routine. I find local environmental events through apps so I can join cleanups, tree plantings, and workshops. I use sustainable investment platforms for insights into green funds, ethical companies, and socially responsible options.